Hello, this video is about the excellent genealogy software called Gramps and follows on from my other videos. When I started using this software, I found there are often several ways to record information. In my experience, the way to choose a way forward is to try the options and evaluate them before entering lots of data. In this video, I'll show you my way of achieving this and demonstrating it for census data. However, you can use this approach for any options. It's crucial that you are clear about what you want to achieve from such a test. For example, I use the narrated web report as my main reference tool when doing research. I take the report on my tablet computer with me, so it's important that the narrated web report is clear. I also regularly use completed individual reports for key ancestors. You will have different requirements. This is a method I will demonstrate in this video. Make a backup of your work so far and put it somewhere safe. In Gramps, make 2 new trees, call them option 1 and 2 if you will, and you'll now have 3 trees. Import your backup data into the new trees, test them individually, and then choose your way forward. I'm using Gramps 4.1.1 on Xubuntu 14.04, and I will show you how I assess the option of using the census gramplet. So I've just started Gramps, and you'll see the family trees available, and you'll recognise the Adams family tree from previous demo. Double click to open the tree, and just to confirm we've imported people, click on people and you see them there. I'm now going to make a backup of that by selecting it from the options, and I don't really need all the media in this one, so I just do exclude the media because of the test, click OK, and now it's saved a backup file. I can now create a new tree. Typing in a new name. Option 1, say, with the census gramplet is going to be my choice. Create a second new tree, call it option 2, not using the census gramplet. Now we're going to double click the option 1 to open that tree. You see there's no data in it. I'm then going to import from my backup file the data. You see the screen on the right updates with top surnames, gramplet and the import statistics. Now going to double click option 2 tree. You can see it's empty, and I'm going to import the backup file into there as well. Import statistics show that we've done it successfully, and now I'm going to swap back to start my demo properly with double clicking on option 1, and we're going to go through the census gramplet evaluation. You can see at the top of the screen it tells you what the tree is that you've got open. Now there is a census gramplet add-on page in the Gramps wiki. Please refer to that page as it has very crucial information about how to set up Gramps to use the census gramplet effectively. So following the wiki page, I'm now going to enter 3 sources for the census. So start by entering the 1841 census, and as it suggests, you've got to put in attribute of census and give it a value, UK 1841. I'm going to do that for the 1851 and 1861 census too. So here we are, 1851. And I'm only doing these 3 for the purpose of the evaluation. If you were doing this on a full rollout, you would probably put in all of the census you came across. Notice how Gramps attributes can automatically suggest after the first letter goes in. It's good like that. So now, following the wiki again, we go to People View, we select a person, and in the right hand panel When I adjust the screen, you'll see I've added the census gramplet on the right. I'll move the screen up a wee bit. You'll see that I can add a new census now at the bottom, or edit an existing one. So click New, and because we've entered 3 census values, there's the 3 options we can choose from. So I'm going to enter an 1851 census. In the reference field, you would put in the relevant information for that census page, such as this. Select a place. Now, I'm not going to add any new places to my database. I'm just evaluating this as an option, so selecting a place that already exists. Notice how you can select a place in Wallsend by searching for it. And now I'm going to add existing person, William Adams. I'm going to carry on adding people to start with. Mary Twaddle's his wife, and add their daughter Jane. So now we have the 3 people in the census. We can type in head of family. I'm just going to go down these top to bottom in each case, but you can go across the page if you wish, whichever is your preferred option. Put in the fact that married for William. Same again. Put in their ages. Occupations. No occupation for Mary Twaddle. Where they were born. Click OK, and that's the census information now entered. If we click on William Adams again and refresh it, you'll see that there it is on the right hand side. If you also click on his father, there's nothing, but if you click on his daughter, there it is again, and there it is again for Mary Twaddle, but not for her father. So you can see how the gramplet on the right reflects the census appropriate to individuals. I'm going to add another one, add in the fact that Mary Twaddle is now a widow. Again, selecting a place by searching for Wallsend. Double click. Add the people as I did last time. This time in 1861, Mary was now the head of the family. And she was a widow. And we carry on adding information. I've speeded that bit a wee bit. Click OK, and then that one goes. And now you can see on the right you've got 2 census entries for Mary Twaddle, both the 1851 and the 1861. Now you could add in all these fields here as well, which do appear on the census, but from the point of me doing an evaluation, I decided not to. But you can do that, and it would make it a more complete entry. And briefly, that's how easy it is to enter information using the census gramplet. So I'm now going to move on to recording information without the census gramplet. The Gramps Wiki has a page dedicated to recording UK census data, so it's advisable to read that. It is a more complicated procedure, but let's give it a try. So here I am, and I'm going to open up by double-clicking my option 2, not using Gramps Census. So now I'm going to add in my sources like I've always done before, 1851 census for England and Wales. Add in the fact that it's in that repository. I could have done that, of course, with the census gramplet option as well, but I didn't, unfortunately. Add in the 1861 census in the same way. Add the repository. Now I can go back to an individual. So I'm going to start by recording the 1851 census for William. So I'm going to add a new event. So it's a residence event because I know where he was on the day of the census. I put in the date of April 1851. You may wish to put the exact date, it's up to you. Searching for where he lived, Wallsend. Let's just put in that. Click OK. Put the source being the census. Again, put the date. I only put April, but so you can put the full date if you wish. Put in the reference, the source, and then click OK. I'm going to keep a copy of that source, as I've done in previous videos, on my clipboard, because I'm going to be reusing it. Click OK, and there's the residence. I usually like to keep these events in date order, so I'll move it up by clicking the arrow like that. So now it's in chronological order. I'm going to copy that also to the clipboard. Now I'm going to enter in the address, as I've done in, again, previous videos. So I've got 1851. Put in all the street data, etc., as done previously. How do I know that? Through the source. Click OK. Now copy that address also to the clipboard. Now we also know about William's occupation. Type that in, shipwright. Add in our citation. OK. Move that into chronological order too. And because we know his age, we can now add in further information into his birth entries. So I like to do that. I put it usually at the bottom because I've already, in this case, got a parish register entry. Now I didn't do this in the census gramplet, and maybe I should have to be complete, but you can do that because you know how old William Adams is. Further information. So I now go to his wife, Mary. Drag and drop the address. Drag and drop the event, and you can drag it and drop it into the right place. It saves moving it up. Change the role to primary because she was a primary part of this event. And then also, because we know her age and it tallies up, we can also add that in as a source for her age. Click OK. That's just done with Mary. Go to the daughter Jane. Her birth, we can add further information about. The same with her residence, drop it on. Primary role, drop the address in the same way. Get all the clipboard activity out of the way to start with. Now add in an event for her occupation. How do we know this? Add the source citation, drop it in, OK. And that's it. So just to check my work there, I'm going to click on sources, check the 1851 census. On the tab marked references, you can see there's a citation against it, which is the one we entered. If I then go to the citations entry, you can see it there, double click on it, click on the references tab, and you can see there all of the events that are now, and people that are now referred to through that census entry. So now I'm going to clear the clipboard because I'm finished with that particular census, and I'm now going to go back and enter the 1861 data we had. So Mary Twaddle, double click, add a new event, put in the residence event, April 61, select where she was living. Again, this is the longer way to find your address, but equally enjoyable. Add in the source citation, 1861, put in the date, put in the reference for volume and page, etc. that you got from the census. Click OK. Now, because that's a source that we want to use again, copy to the clipboard before we click OK. And there's the residence event. We can now move that up into chronological order again. Now I'm going to create a custom event, widow, because we know now she was a widow. So I'm putting in, using the date format, before 1861, and some description, widow Mary Twaddle. How do I know this? Through this source. Click OK. Click OK. And you'll see on the screen now, widow has the text before 1861. One of the great features of Gramps allows you to do that. And actually you could put before April 1861, which is even better. Helpful when you're doing research to know if there are any boundaries like that that you need to be aware of. Add in the birth information because that also helps corroborate when she was born, as we've done previously. Put in her occupation, because we know that from the census. She's a washerwoman. Again with that source, click OK, move it up a bit. You can drag and drop these things if you prefer, rather than clicking the arrows. I'm going to add in their address in the same way as we've done previously. With that source, I speeded it up a bit for you to save time. We'll copy the residence event and the address to the clipboard because we're going to use that for a daughter. Click OK. Go to a daughter. Bring the residence back and the address back. Primary role for a residence. Click OK. And we've got an occupation for her too. So we add in the birth event, further information about it. Add in the occupation, servant. Again, using the source to tell us how we know that. Now, because we know Mary Twaddle was a widow, we can also put in something about the death of William Adams. Even though we know his burial, just to demonstrate the technique here, you can put in death, and again, under the date, using the very good formatting of Gramps, you can put in a range of dates. So here we've got between April 1851 and April 1861. Now, I know we have the burial as it happens, but just to show you the idea here, you can get that information from the two consecutive censuses. And again, look at the screen, it's put it in text format, make the comma a bit wider so you can read it, but you've now got that, which will help you with your research. If you didn't actually know that he was buried, as we do, in 1858, you've at least got 10-year window to look for William Adams' death when you're out in the field. Now that would finish the entries normally I would use for these censuses, but I want to show you what would happen if you went to the 1911 census, where you've got even more information. And I add in, under the attributes for a person, some additional information. So, for example, number of children in 1911, you could put in there 4 living and 2 dead as a value under the attributes. Similarly, number of years married for Mary Twaddle, you could type it in as an attribute under that person. So type in 32 years and you can add that. Now I'm doing this now just to see what it looks like on output in the narrative web report and in the individual report later, and you'll see it demonstrated in a few moments. So I'm now going to stop the video and generate a few reports now for us to discuss and compare. So the first one to show you is the census output report. So you can see here the format that it comes out in is a PDF file or a printout, and effectively replicates what you get in a normal census. Now, admittedly, I've not entered all of the data that you would have done, but now here we've got side by side options 1 and 2 individual reports for Mary Twaddle. So you can see on the right hand one, because I entered more about the birth quoting the census, you've got more sources on the right hand side here. But further down under residence, you can see that you've got 2 census events that the report has picked up, but it actually allocates them as a census event. Whereas on the right hand side, under option 2, we have just residence events and nothing quoted for census. You'll also see in the right hand side the custom field widow appears for Mary Twaddle. You see before 1851. That was the text we wrote. And the source, of course, will point down to the census. You can see the addresses we entered, it's just exactly how they were, and you can also now see the sources at the bottom again in the way that we wrote them. Under endnotes on option 1, The census format there has been determined by the census gramplet. So this is how the two options look. Let's move on to the narrative web reports. So here is option 1, and we can see again, very similar to the individual report, you've got the two censuses, but what you can see on this report is you can see the various additional fields, such as the fact she was married, where she was born, and the fact she was a widow in 1861. So these are all now picked up by the narrative web report. Very useful. Of course, if I'd entered address information, that would appear here as well, but I didn't do that, but I could have done. And here's the source information, similar to what we saw on the complete individual report. Let's go to option 2's narrative web report, and unsurprisingly you'll see that we've got the residences, we've put down the widow entry that we made, etc. Residence again, occupations. You see the addresses, because I filled them in, they are there. Notice there's an attributes section here now, which wasn't in the other one, and that was because I was demonstrating what I would do with additional information. So that's how it appears. And again, look at the sources, the same as the report, basically. So in summary, you've seen two ways of entering census data. You might prefer a combination of the message shown or a different way altogether. It's your choice on how you use gramplets. Now, if you want to, if you like what you've seen in option 1, then you could rename that now as your current tree, and rename your old tree my old tree. It's up to you to choose how you want to now move forward. Just out of interest, I usually have one test tree that I occasionally experiment with various options in, so don't be afraid to have several trees, as long as you know which is the real one. Thanks for listening and watching. Hope it helps you.